Yeah, we not the type to play games, you can state claims. Came to show the movement moving like a freight train, breaking walls and crumble earth with every step we take. We walking by with lash and your neck will break. Never let it stray, so say it wrong, won't set it straight. So coming at us with an awkward demeanor is leaving your life in the dead of face. So pedal straight, avoid these shots, we send it all costs. Truly believing that it'll be different, we watching your body get hauled off. Simple as this, we giving the vibe of the revolution that we living within. Diminish the doubt of the haters that talk on the low because of this minuscule shit.
Ba-dum. Hello, how are ya? Good morning and welcome. It's 8:20 in the morning here at Site B on the 28th day of June. The month is almost over, which means the countdown to Halloween has begun. And really, there's nothing more important than that, is there? Hello, Soska Twins. What's up, you losers? It's I, the OGGM, despite the best efforts of not one, but two asteroids that passed close enough to our planet to be seen by the naked eye last night. We're still here. God damn it, asteroids, you had one frickin' job. Dinosaurs. Extinction level of it. Anyways, it's Friday, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happened this week. So I feel like some of those stories we need to revisit, maybe. Plus, there's the whole Rob Kuntz letter. Is it a letter? Letter thingy that we haven't really addressed yet because everybody else did. So let's revisit some of the news stories that perked around because, you know, you would think there's something more important going on in the gaming industry besides this, but sadly there isn't. So, of course, I guess the top story is the never-ending vomitorium of bizarre art coming out from Wizards of the Coast for the upcoming Player's Handbook, and all the non-stop forwarding. Let's look at, here is the new classes. They're all compiled on EN World as always, but they're also on D&D Beyond and Lost Souls and any other sites that's covering this Wizards of the Coast Player's Handbook thing. Multiple pages describing how the new wizard, the new druid, the new this, the new that, the new other thing, the new fighter, multiple things about the new fighter and how the fighter has changed and the paladin has changed. Now, guys, I mean, come on. It's a new edition. All right. I don't care what anybody says at this point. Literally every piece of information that is coming out further convinces me this is a brand new edition. It's a brand new edition of the stupid game. Just accept it and move on. Okay. It's 6th edition or Dungeons and Dragons Forever. And as for the claims that it's the last edition, well, it probably is the last physical edition we'll ever see. But as for the last edition, I will remind you once again about a story that I've been talking about long before any of the else of you have been talking about it. And the fact that still on the calendar is June 2027, Dungeons and Dragons 6X. So if you think this is the last edition, sorry, no, it's not. They said 4th edition was the last edition. They said 5th edition 2014 was the last edition. As long as Hasbro can continue to milk money, it is not the new edition. Hello and welcome, Dempsey. Please like, please share, please subscribe. God, yeah. I was in the same group for 15 years, moved up here. I was in and out of groups, in and off. But yeah, I haven't found a good, consistent group in a long time, and I miss that. Gaming is dead where I live. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but that's a long story. Anyways, thanks for dropping by. So first and foremost, the new art. Because look, at this point, you know, I'm going to tell you between all the free shit and the new SRD and all the articles, do you really need to buy this new book? Because you're making everything available to me for free. So we've talked about the new art for the orcs, and I can't believe that there are still people out there who are like, I don't mind this. It's not racist. I don't see what you're talking about. T-shirted historian and several other members of the Latino community who are also gamers have commented on the art, so I don't have to cover that one. If you want to just go over to T-Shirt Historian, he has made multiple videos. He is Latino, so Basic Expert, who's also Latino, has made comments about the art. So I don't know what that one. The old Wild West Orcs. No, the Weird Dwarven Bakery. We talked about that one. The obvious AI elves. Yeah, we talked about that one. We just look at their hands. That's AI. The Shadowrun picture. Nobody's talked about the Shadowrun picture, which is weird because one of the pictures is a group of adventurers. There's a guy in a wheelchair. There's a guy in a three-piece suit with a sword cane. And there's two other people in modern day clothing. And the wheelchair is definitely a 20th century wheelchair. It's not a magical wheelchair or a historically accurate to the D&D time period wheelchair. It's a wheelchair you could buy today. So it's a Shadowrun / modern day picture that is hidden somewhere in the player's handbook, and nobody's said word one about that one. Or the Hillary Clinton White Zinfandel Paladin. Like, what's with that one? Are you saying that you think Hillary Clinton was a paladin, Wizards of the Coast? And then there's this! The weird DM screen, which they want us to know just came out. Came out a couple weeks ago, guys. Weird that you have the screen for the DM's guide, even though the DM's guide is supposedly not ready yet. And the front of the DM's guide screen, fine. It's just the rest of the DM's guide screen. We know we've all been talking about this weird picture. There is so many things wrong with this picture. Everybody has focused on the supposed top scar on the elf here, because apparently they say that's a top scar and that's promoting transgenderism. It's not a top scar. If you've ever seen top scars, they don't look like that. It's probably some kind of battle tattoo. Maybe if they intended it to be a top scar, then the person who did the picture has never seen a top scar. Also, elves can change their sex at will. So why would they need a transgender operation? And you live in a world where there's polymorph spells. If you wanted to be a man or a woman, you just pay 100, 200 gold and get the spell cast on you. And it's 1,000 times safer than the surgery. But I want to be represented. Well, then fine, Also, there's no humans, no white men, no white women, no women at all on this, except the drag queen, whatever this is, this fish person over here. So yeah, this is a very weird picture, and everybody's commented on this picture. I will comment once again on the fact that they are all standing in a straight line, and one lightning bolt spell would kill this entire party. Okay, but everyone, yeah, so that's the art story has been a big thing. The other big story, of course, was the Crit Awards. The Crit Awards thing, right? So we heard about this awards that showed up last year out of nowhere. Their biggest thing, of course, is they think Connie Chang is the best DM. They awarded awards for like best DM, best player, blah, blah, blah. But they were all from like unbelievably small pools of basically friends. Like the person that they nominated for best Paizo DM was not anyone who was associated with Paizo organized play. And even though they want to claim that they were part of Gen Con, their thing wasn't held at Gen Con. It was held at a separate space. Well, this year they were back for their second year in a row. And, great. Okay, it's new people to the industry, wanting to support new people to the industry and offer awards to new people in the industry. Great, fine. That's perfectly fine. They made a list of all the things they won't allow at their awards or on the product. No racism, no sexism, no homophobia, no blah, slavery, no rape, blah, blah, blah. All the things we're expecting to see on these things now. And whether you agree with them or disagree with them, we know that they're going to be there because that's just what's expected now. And I think at this point, if you don't put them on there, you're in more trouble than if you do put them on there. And then they added that weird thing about Zionism, which was just out of left field. It's if you go down the list of things, the 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, the Zionism thing, and then you keep going. Then Zionism thing was completely went against everything else in that entire document. It was all about, oh, we hate, no hate, no hate, no hate, no discrimination, no discrimination, no discrimination, unless you're Zionist. And then they doubled down on that one. And I made an entire 15-minute long video on that one, which was way too long. And then when they got called out for that, they're like, oh, we're going to take our money and go and do our own little digital virtual event. Because, then if we do a digital virtual event, we can have complete control over the narrative, and we can say whatever we want, and we can nominate whoever we want, and we can give our Phony Baloney award to Phony Baloney Friends and Connie Chang. And then we can, of course, tell everybody how we were discriminated against and threatened, and we tried to stand up against hate and how negatively we were treated, thus further proving how we were right. Notice that they have not mentioned, of course, the fact that the whole Zionism thing, or why they chose to back the anti-Semitism horse. And a lot of people in the gaming industry, like Pundit, called them out on it, when I totally expected, Pundit to call them out on it, because that's Pundit's thing. And that's one of the few things I agree with on Pundit, is calling out anti-Semitism in the industry. And then a lot of other people called it out, which is funny and hypocritical. And I'm going to get a little ugly here. So if that's something you don't want to talk about, stop now. A month ago, a prominent member of the Old Scholl was posting multiple anti-Semitic comments. There has been multiple anti-Semitic comments throughout the tabletop role-playing game industry over the past couple of years. That was never called out. The anti-Semitic threats that were directed towards me and some of my fellow members of the Jewish community, not called out. But this was called out. And now you're like, oh, look what we did. We got them to step away. Well, you know what? If you really gave a damn about the anti-Semitism, you would have called out the pre-existing anti-Semitism and the continuing anti-Semitism. Okay. So there's that. So that's my ugliness moment for the day. And then the third story, which we haven't really covered because a lot of other people already covered it, but we can't avoid it. Is the letter from Rob about the thing. Okay, so we got some responses first. Dempsey, hi, like, share, subscribe. I've been playing D since the mid-'80s. Redbox, hello, welcome. I've been playing with the same group since 3.0 came out. We moved to 3.5 and won't ever change. Congratulations. I respect that, man. I wish I was in the same group. I'm crippled with neuropathy, presenting in muscle control problems and normal amputation. The wheelchair carry is really, really dumb. My handicap isn't virtual signaling for normies. Totally 100% agree. They should stop that. Totally 100% agree. Shadow and Stones says, good morning. Dempsey says, good morning. Gen Con, Gen Con still matters, but it doesn't matter as much as it used to. The Ennies Award still matters, but they don't matter as much as they used to. San Diego Comic Con still kind of matters, but, it's watered down. They all been watered down. The smaller cons are, are going to be the ones that are important, but once the second convention gets big, money, blah, blah. Can I award my friends too? Yes, you can. And howdy, folks. All right, so I don't even know where to begin this one. As you know, Wizards of the Coast contacted this guy to write the complete history of the early days of Dungeons and Dragons from 1970 to 1976. Now, who the fuck this guy is, nobody knows. And apparently one of the three people that were involved in the writing it has only been around for about 8 years. Only been playing D&D for about 8 years. Now this Jason guy came out and is like, he looks old. He's older. Apparently he's got some Pathfinder props behind him. And he was like, respect the history, respect the history, respect the history. I researched your history. We have all these documents that we wanted to get over with. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, whatever. And then, of course, they had to bring up the virtue signaling. They had to repeatedly tell us that the stuff that was written then would not pass the inclusion editing of today. And there's no way that Gygax and Dave and Rob and those guys could write what they wrote then now, because there's no way it could pass. Because as we know, Wizards of the Coast wants to continue to force this false narrative about how ugly the gaming industry was before 2014. And in fact, they have rewritten the narrative yet again to want you to believe that how ugly and unwelcoming and discriminatory the gaming industry was before this year. And we'll get to that to the moment. So we knew this was coming. We knew there was going to be a warning, a inappropriate, a running editorial about the history. I mean, they made it very clear if they could go back and change the stuff that was written back then, they would, but then it wouldn't be history. Now, if you want the real history of the hobby, I highly recommend you watch The Secret History of Blackmore. It's on Amazon for $2. It's on YouTube. You read the book that Griff just wrote. If you want the real history, you go to Eric Tanker's channel. Any of the other people who I still respect in the industry who are telling you about what really happened, including Rob Kuntz, who was one of the last, if not the last living person who was there. So we knew this warning, this editorial, this running commentary about how ugly that shit is was going to be in the new book. The new book came out, and sure enough, there it was. And Rob got very, very, very upset about it. And he said, I'm going to write a letter. 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 What he should do is pursue a slander charge against them, as should Ernie and Luke. Has anybody heard from Ernie and Luke about this? Or it feels like they're being very numb. We know there are still members of the family alive who could come forward and denounce this. Or they could say, yeah, we took Wizards of the Coast money, so we're supporting this. My dad was a fucking racist, blah, 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 blah. Now, part of the problem with this is they can't differentiate the man with the product. Gary Gygax, the man? I don't know. I wasn't there. Was he a horrible, awful, baby-eating, zombie-loving person who kicked baby chicks? Don't know. Wasn't there. Doesn't matter. As for his product, what he wrote and created, is that as awful as Wizards of the Coast wants us to think? No. Were there things in it that it could have been perceived in one way from one point of view? Sure. Sure. So anyways, this was in there. We knew that was in there. It's in there. Rob read it. He said, I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to do something about it. Again, Rob should, look into slander charges. So this is what Rob wrote. Now, I don't know if this is what he's sending to Wizards. I don't know if this is just a running stream of thought. It is very angry. It is very bitter. It is very truthful. Now I'm going to do my best to read it. You know, I have to take a break from posting. The whole attack upon the old TSR has really tripped my trigger. A 50th year celebration, then this is it, of the original D&D authors and its supplements, Gary, Dave, Jim, Brian. They're all gone. That leaves me, Rob, alone as the last man standing, the last author. It's really a burden watching this slander episode unfold. Yes, it is slander, and somebody should look into that. And it was done without one bat of the eyelash, a Wizards of the Coast fait accompli, done in such an assumptive manner as if to wield the holy articles on morality, which they enact with their reprehensible judge, jury, and executioner demeanor. Now it begins to read like a debate of emotion as opposed to a debate of fact. They are probably wincing and wondering, us, the saints of truth, more like snakes. Anyone who would wait until the majority of authors who created the game were gone to stick it to them in a manner as a vile snake, and just to complete the deed, do it on the 50th anniversary, show their admirers who's in charge, show them who's in control of the IP. They fear those times that had no hand in creating, that they especially fear Gary Gygax. His name shivers up and down their crooked spine. And it wasn't enough to have hounded him in life. Let's do a Houdini and trample on his grave. Rob, most of the people who go to Houdini's house to see him come back on Halloween go to the wrong house. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Harry Houdini's house is in Laurel Canyon. When he died, Harry Houdini said he would find a way to come back from the dead, and he built tunnels in his house in Laurel Canyon that he would claim that he was going to use to come back from the dead. So every year on Halloween, people have gone to Laurel Canyon to go to his house to see if his ghost, and they did this for year after year after year for about 20 years, 30 years on Laurel Canyon, every Halloween, until finally somebody who was somehow related to somebody who knew the properties said, you guys have been going to the wrong house. The house that Harry Houdini lived in is actually across the street. Anyway, so that's what he was referring to. Disgusting slime, but it's not just Gary or Dave or us others. It's also wanting to wipe out the success and claim as their own. And in order to do so, the fandom must be attacked as well as the history. Yes. Guys, I've been talking about this since 2018, again, since 2020. It's amazing how I don't, I hate to toot my own horn and sound bitter, but, I said this shit before anybody else. I said the June 2027 before anybody else. I know there's another person out there who continually likes to say it and say it was him, but no, I was first. So yeah, this is not a secret. All of this must be purged, never again allowed to exist. These people are the epitome of evil robber barons parading as the good guys. Sleight of hand bullshit from a gold hobble prestidigitation. We don't know fantasy or how to summon it. What they know is how to push down. See, I don't think this is a letter. I think this is an emotional editorial of how he's feeling. Now, he's claimed he's going to write a letter to Wizards of the Coast. I don't think this is a letter. It doesn't read as a letter. It reads as a debate of emotion. The letter should be written from a very legal, appropriate debate of facts as opposed to debate of emotion, because Wizards of the Coast isn't going to respond to this. Here's an old guy telling us how much we suck. That just proves how correct we are about these old guys. Yeah, what you think Wizards of the Coast is going to respond to a editorial of just this, of you insulting them? No, they're not. Or if they do, they're going to use it to say, look, we're right. Look how bitter this old man is. So I hope this is not the letter that he's sending them. I hope this just is an argument of how he feels. Something about vacations and dreaming about the next. Yeah, basically, he just talks about how awful Wizards of the Coast is for doing this. He mentions punk rock. He mentions, that we fought the establishment for years. And stuff like that, and then Wizards of the Coast is just cobbling up and replacing it. And then one of the few things he mentions that he could use in an argument of fact is magic cards, and how magic cards repeatedly appropriate other cultures, even though Wizards of the Coast claims, we don't want to perpetuate the cultural appropriation, even though almost every one of our magic sets is appropriation of another culture. It's just beginning. You'll get sick of hearing my name soon. It's spelled Kuntz, Kuntz. Repost this as I'm taking a few days off. Peace to the brothers. All right, so this is the thing, and everybody commented on this thing, and so yeah. No, we got some comments. Howdy Shadow and Sun. No way they could pass their writing. No shit, things change. Not always for the better. Not always for the better. That's true. True. He said that, or did he make a post about it? Hi guys. Morning Grandma. Howdy Sans. Morning RPG Grandma. He has every right to be angry at Wizards of the Coast attacks on everyone, including himself. Yep. What's shaking? Too much of this shit happening nowadays. Not enough to community support. Focus, just negativity. Sad. Yep. We rallied by the OGL thing. for about 10 minutes. And then, of course, even then it became a thing about my argument's better than your argument. You know, Kelsey, my girl, Kelsey, announces she's doing shadowdark. Get shit on. Shadowdark comes out, makes $1 million. Suddenly everybody's like, Kelsey Dion and Shadowdark is the greatest thing ever. Kelsey Dion saved the OGL. She won the OGL. 48 hours later, Ben from did a review and she paid him to do the review. Therefore, Kelsey's a horrible human being. And then 2 days later, they're like, oh no, Kelsey's wonderful. And then 2 days later, they're like, if you say anything nice about Kelsey, you're white knighting her. And then they're like, again, oh, Kelsey, Shadowdark, you're great. We love you. And then like 2 weeks later, they were like, fuck you, Kelsey. And there for months, they were like, oh, Kelsey's a piece of shit. Kelsey Dion's a piece of shit. Shadowdark's a piece of shit. And then now they're like, oh yeah, we love Shadowdark again. So yeah, there's not enough support. Don't think, feel emotional content, not anger. Now try again. Yes. If you're going to debate, you can do an emotional debate. You can do a debate of logic. You can do a debate of fact. You could do what we saw last night, which was just a disaster on both sides. Both of the candidates, both mine and yours, were just awful. Neither of them should be running for president. So yeah, if this is the letter Rob's going to send Wizards of the Coast, he's not going to get anything other than laughed at. If Wizards of the Coast is even aware of this post on Twitter, they're either going to use it against him or they're just not even going to bother to respond. Unfortunately, while everything Rob says is absolutely correct and he has every right to say that, we also know how Wizards of the Coast thinks. Arabian Nights, yes, that's what he was talking about. Hi, RPG Grandma. You gotta love bandwagons. Shadowdark is amazing, and there's those that jump on, then off the bandwagon should probably be careful not to get run over by that same wagon. Absolutely agree. Some people just shit on people because they lack talent, ability, and think that's how you get ahead, being total turds. Yep. There you go. So this is out there. Now, Tanker did a video about the Wizards of the Coast agenda. I've been talking about this for years. Other people are now finally wising up to it and figuring out what the agenda is. The new art is part of the agenda. The rewriting, the language is part of the agenda. The changing the rules is part of the agenda. Saying shit like, oh, we never remember this one, and people get. We never wrote lore about dragons before. And I commented on that, and so many people gave me negative comments about it. It's like, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And I was like, no, you're missing the point. It doesn't matter whether they printed lore or not. The guy said, we never did lore about dragons before. We've never provided a place where they live. We've never given them biomes. This was an actual quote from the guy who's changing all the dragons in the Monster Manual. Not, we're changing the lore because things have changed. It's, there never was lore before today. So that's the weird revision of history that Wizards of the Coast continues to perpetuate. Remember the whole no canon before 2014 thing, right? Nothing that was written before 2014 matters until we bring it into 2014 5e and change it, okay? And then again, when the announcement of 2024 Dungeons & Dragons is not a new edition, yes it is, came out, they have been basically saying nothing that came out before January 1st of 2024 is canon. We are rewriting everything. And the statement that we have never given dragons lore or a biome is basically them saying, we're going to completely ignore shit we wrote in 2014, much less stuff we wrote in the multiple books that we've written since 2014 about dragons, the 2 Tiamat books, the 2 Underdark books, multiple other books that have come out talking about the lore and the history of Wizards of the Coast dragons. not counting the Dragonlance stuff. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. That's what that guy said. I'm sorry. You can argue with me, but that's literally what the guy who is writing the new Monster Manual said. There is no lore. We've never done lore for the dragons. We've never given them a biome. So I'm giving them that now. So that should have been your first clue of what Wizards of the Coast is doing. In case you missed the last 5 years of what they're planning on doing, in case you don't, can't accept that what I've been saying for 5 years is true, again, the words are coming out of their mouth. It's not me. I'm not making this up. It's Wizards of the Coast. It's Crawford every time he speaks. It's these other guys every time he speaks. It's the guy who wrote the introduction and did the book about the history. They're rewriting the history. They're changing the art. They're changing everything. Why are they doing this? Because they want it to be 100% theirs. They've been trying to do this since 3.5, since they purchased it. They did it horribly wrong in 4th, but that should have been a clue. At the beginning of 5th, they kind of did it. And then from 2019 to 2023, they tried to push it. They stumbled in 2023. They took a step back for a couple of months. And then they came forward with the 2024 brand new edition. So here's what they're doing. Here's what they're doing. If you don't understand, Dungeons and Dragons takes its everything from other sources. There's nothing original in Dungeons and Dragons. The magic system is taken from Jack Vance and other things. Every creature, past, present, is from something else. Mythology, science fiction, fantasy, video games, the drugs that we did in the 70s and the 80s, card games, whatever. History, literature, folklore, mythology. Okay, there's nothing original. Hobbits, the core races. Hobbits, dwarves, elves, gnomes, halflings, tieflings, dragonborn. None of that's original. Most of those are stolen from Dave Hargrave or Lord of the Rings or just a couple thousand years of history and folklore. None of the art is original. It's all based upon real art. Dragons, our portrayals of dragons, our portrayals of elves, our portrayals of knights fighting and wizards casting spells. That's, hundreds of years of history paintings that are on the walls. Even that orc painting that's so diversive is based upon Vasquez rocks and the artwork of the Spanish missionaries. So there's nothing original in D&D. It's all from someplace else. It's a melting pot of hundreds of different cultures. But you can't brand cultures. You can't copyright mythology. You can't milk that few extra dollars off folklore. What you can do is change the way these things look to be completely original to you, and change the way you define these things to be completely original to you. If you erase every connection to Gygaxian and D&D and every culture and source that you have borrowed from and create brand new physical representation of the orc, we'll use the orc because that's the one people most recognize, right? The Hispanic orcs. That's completely unique to them, even though it's not. And you change the lore and you rewrite all the classes to not resemble anything else. Rewrite all the races, rewrite all the spells, rewrite everything so that it's still technically Dungeons and Dragons, but it's 100% yours. You're no longer using anything that's attached to anything else. Then, going forward, Hasbro can continue to license out the brand and not have that be associated with anything else. 100% you will now associate going forward D&D elves with Hasbro. Because as Hasbro has said all this year, all last year, all the year before, all the year before that, all the way back to 2015, we don't care about D&D the game. We only care about D&D the brand. We only make money by licensing things out now. We are no longer a toy company. We are a licensing company. If the elves are 100% our elves, then we can 100% monetize them in any way, shape, or form we want. No connection to Gygax means no negative connection. No connection to Wizards of the Lord of the Rings or mythology. They're our elves. And we can do whatever we want with that image and merchandise it any way we want because it's ours. It's not yours. It's not theirs. It's not that culture's. It's not J.R. Tolkien's. They're our elves. They are now 100% our elves, just like the Beholder is 100% ours and the Mind Flayer is 100% ours. And we can license that and brand it any way we want, motherfuckers. And we've been telling you that since 2020. The OGGM has been telling you this since 2017. We have told you our plans every year for the past 5 years, and yet you're still surprised. Exactly. They can get it out of public domain. They will own that interpretation of those creatures going forward. And the guys, they told you they were going to do this. They have repeatedly been saying all this years, the only way we make money is by licensing the IP. We are a licensing company now. We're no longer a toy company. Dungeons and Dragons is not a game. We don't give a fuck about the game. In fact, we're trying to end the physical game so we can take it all digital so we can have even more control over it. We have said that repeatedly since 2020. I don't know why there's still people who do not believe that. You don't believe I'm saying this? Go to Hasbro's site. Look, guys, you don't have to believe me, Scott fucking Garraby or all the other idiots. Go to the Hasbro site and read what they say. It's not lies if Hasbro tells you they're going to do this. It's not lies if Hasbro said we don't make money off of D&D the game. We only make money off of D&D the brand. We could shut down Wizards of the Coast tomorrow. We don't need it. June 2027. Dungeons and Dragons 6X. So there you go. That is all the news for the week. We covered the stupid art. We covered the crit awards and the hypocrisy. We covered Rob's letter and the evil plans of Wizards of the Coast. Now let's take a moment to thank my sponsor. I guess I have a sponsor now because they sent me a shirt. If you didn't have a chance to watch it yesterday, I was very lucky to receive a box from our friends at Emperor's Choice. And in that box was the entire kickstart of the upcoming art pack that they are doing for the Arduin Grimoire. I got, as far as I know, everything that is going to be in this Kickstarter was in that box. They sent it to me for free. Probably at least $100, if not more, worth of product in there, including the beautiful maps, one of which is hanging up behind me on the wall because they sent me two. You can see it right there. So there you go. Yeah. I did that, and then of course then people went, oh, your face, you're showing your face, you should show your face, how come you never show your face? And I've gone over why I don't show my face multiple times. So again, first and foremost, it's not to dox myself. Okay. I don't want people knowing who I am. I don't want people knowing where I live. It's to protect my family. I have spent the last 20 years working in childcare with at-risk childcare. I've been involved with multiple legal suits regarding child protective services. So to protect those individuals, I don't show my face. When my sister's wife passed away, yeah, my sister was married to a woman. My sister's wife's family has been awful, and there has been threats. So it's another reason why I don't show my face, to protect my sister and to protect where I live. So if you don't like seeing my face, if you want to see more of my face, well, send me snacks. The only way you're going to see my face is if I do an unboxing, and as soon as I can get a better camera setup, then yeah, unless I'm doing the snack videos, you're not going to see my face. Okay. So if you won't respect any of the other reasons why I don't show my face, then respect the fact that I'm doing it to protect myself and my family. And so I don't dox myself. Okay. And if you don't like it, well, you can leave the channel. Really. Okay. You can just fuck off. There's plenty of other people who show their face out there. If you want to see people's faces when they're talking about product, and really, if you want to see somebody's face, wouldn't you rather see somebody like, I don't know, Jessica Nagiri than me? I mean, who would you rather? I mean, if you got to look at somebody. Jessica. There's somebody whose face you could go look at. If you want to see somebody who shows their face and other parts of their body on YouTube, let me recommend my good friend Jessica Nagiri. There you go. Anyways, that's it. I've wasted way too much time on this topic, but I'm in a bad mood and I don't feel good. And I'm feeling very saucy right now because of all this bullshit. And especially with the hypocriticism regarding the anti-Semitism. That just really, whatever. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Oh, yeah. I mean, Wizards of the Coast has been stealing. Everybody steals from Dave. I don't think people realize how influential Dave Hargrave was because he was around for such a short period of time. But if we go back, as farthest back I can think of is Warp World and Appendix N. Okay? Those random tables in Appendix N, that's Dave. Warp World, which led to Rifts, that's Dave. Drow Elves. The Deodenth, that's Dave. Thrykin, the Fraints, that's Dave. Dragonborn, that's Dave. Those are all things that Dave Hargrave did first. Anyways, that's it. It's 73 degrees. It's sunny. I'm shivering, so I think I might be sick or having a horrible allergy attack to something. So that's it for today. If you appreciate this nonsense, let me know. If you never want to hear me talk about this ever again, well, you know what you have to do. The challenge is still out there. Just help me hit 2,000 subs by August 4th, and I will take an entire month off from talking about Wizards of the Coast. We'll talk about superheroes and movies instead. Till next time, get off my land, you fucking marks.